Hey guys, Brent here. Welcome to Share, Inspire, Create live number 84. I believe it is. Yes, 84. If you guys can hear me, I'd love for you to comment in the comments section. Tell me your name and where you're from, and just make sure that my audio is okay today. And I'll have my tea in the meantime. It's cold here in Australia right now. I'll just check on my phone too to make sure that I am live and everything's happening well. So I do apologize. I am outside. There's all sorts of noises, dogs and things. Okay, there we go. Okay, Sig says yes. Hi from South Central Ontario, near Toronto. Nick, yep, Nick can hear me. Bruce Patterson from Florida. Hey guys, welcome. I've actually got two screens today, two little screen, a little side screen here so that I can actually see your comments as they come up. So perfect. All right, everyone hear me okay. So let's get into the presentation here. Here we go. All right. So Share, Inspire, Create number 84. I'm actually really excited to get into this SIC show. I've been looking forward to it. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of days because I've got so much to tell you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Eileen, all good, and she's from New Zealand, and Joanne is from California. Hey Joanne, Oceanside, and Sue is, I don't know where she's from, but she can hear me okay. Good. All right, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing with my Share, Inspire, Create live show is I share something or a few things. So first I want to share the BootCamp magazine that we just produced a couple of days ago, and I'll put a link below this video. And if you just go to shareinspirecreate.com, you'll see, no, you may not see it yet. I haven't put it on there. But a great magazine. It was for last month's challenge, low-key photography. And what a great challenge it was. Look at this amazing image from Ruth. And yeah, just a lovely magazine. So I wanted to share that with you guys first. And then I've actually got my episode 8 of my postie adventures, where I'm cruising around on my postie bike and telling other people's stories. That's up. It took me there's been a bit of a delay, bit of a gap between when I did the last one and this one, and I explained that in the video over here. So thank you also to everyone that sponsored my postie adventures, my postie legends, the people that are buying me a barbecue or a beer or filling up my postie bike or just doing a one-off donation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And sorry, there's I don't know, they're suddenly doing construction. Isn't that typical, right? As soon as you go live, there's been no sound up to now. And as soon as you go live, someone's drilling or cutting or doing something in the back there. So I do apologize for the sound in the background. Something I've been looking at doing is upgrading my little caravan, and I'm looking at building my own teardrop camper. There's an inspirational image I found online, and I'm starting to design it. Here it is, my little design. I've found this also online. I downloaded the SketchUp, and I'm starting to design my little camper van because we've realized that our teenage kids don't want to be with us anymore, that we're not cool enough. So who needs 2 beds in a camper van? Just my wife Stacy and I. I think we're gonna go simple. Simplify, right? And what else has happened? Oh yeah, we got these amazing sunsets in winter just over here. Just to the sun kind of sets over the ocean in the winter, which is amazing over here. And this isn't my shot. It's actually a shot from my son, who's taken an interest in photography, and I've been loaning him my Lumix camera. I'll pull it up here. This one, just my little mirrorless Lumix camera. Let's go to my main camera here, and I'll show you guys. So this is the camera. My son's been using my little Lumix, and I've been helping him out photograph, and he's really enjoying it. Actually, the last 3 nights I've seen him up here photographing, doing HDR images and everything, and we download them and do a quick edit in Lightroom, and then he gets to share it on Instagram. So he's having fun with that, which and it's making me quite proud to finally have a offspring, one of my offspring actually interested in photography, which is great. You guys still hearing me okay? I'll just check the comments now. Is that background sound really bad, or is it okay? So just comment in the comments. I'm looking at them on the side screen over here. So this is one of my son's images from the Lumix. Fantastic image. We had to do a little bit of editing on that to get rid of the noise in it. So Sue says it's all good. Okay, great. I think that's the latest comment there. All right, let's get into the Inspire section. Actually, you know what? I've got a couple more things to share. No, we'll do it in the Inspire section here. So I wanted to inspire you with a couple of images I've recently taken in the last month since I last did this live session. This is one that I'm doing for this month's Bootcamp challenge. Now, if you're part of Bootcamp, hey, great. Thank you for being part of Bootcamp. If you're not, there's a link below this video where you can sign up to the waiting list, and I'll let you know when we've got a spot, and I'd love for you to join. So every month in Bootcamp, we have a challenge, a masterclass that I create, and then a challenge. And those images end up in the best images from the challenge end up in the Bootcamp magazine. So here's one that I photographed. This month's challenge is called Seasonal Vibes. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter vibes. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer vibes. And I want to see what images really give you that summer feeling or that winter feeling wherever you are in the world. This is one that I've been wanting to photograph for quite some time. It's at a little restaurant close to where I live. This area is called Bob's Farm. Obviously, Bob must have owned that area, but it's called Bob's Farm. The suburb is called Bob's Farm. Lots of farms around there. And there's this restaurant called Valhalla, and they got these long-haired Highland cattle over there, and they feed them, and they're pretty cool. They're unusual because we don't have many of these around, right? Because it's quite warm here normally in Australia. And I wanted to get this wintry looking image, and I noticed one morning I woke up and it was foggy everywhere. So I rushed over there and I photographed. This is my image. So to get this shot, I had to lean over the fence. I had to use my screen on my camera, and I had to lean over the fence, get the camera down to the ground, flip the screen up, the LCD display up, go in live view, and then photograph this cow so that I could get a low angle, because I couldn't shoot through the fence because the fence is too I can't actually get the lens through the fence without having the fence interfere with my image. So that's how I shot this image with the fog, the mist in the background. So that's my seasonal vibes image, and hopefully I can inspire you with that. And then this one is what I'm going to do the create section with. I'm going to show you how I photographed this, what I used, and how I edited it. So let's go to the next scene. Here's another image I want to inspire you with. I photographed this a day and a half ago, 2 days ago, at my friend Macca's house. I've always wanted a shot where there's just all this greenery, and then one of these rainbow lorikeets is popping its head up. And I think this is a good place for me to go back to my desktop, and I'm going to show you a few things on my desktop over here. Here we go, live, and I'll go into my thumbnails. Hopefully you guys can see those, and I'm going to show you, and hopefully this comes up. So this is my friend Macca. Yep. I'll just want to make sure this actually comes up on the screen in front of you, and hopefully you can hear it. But these images, oh yeah, it is. So this is my friend Macca, who's in a wheelchair, and these are his lorikeets that he feeds. They're wild lorikeets, but you can see they're not too scared of him. And see that little fenced area that he's got over there with all the lorikeets on the top? That's what I photographed. That's where I photographed this image that I've just shown you. So we'll run back to the beginning of this, and I'll show you guys wonder if you can hear them. They are make a hell of a noise. And that's where you see. All right. Okay, we'll get rid of that sound there. What do you think of the lorikeets? I'll just check the comments right now. There we go. What are we on? I'll just go to my camera one again. All right. Bruce, okay, great. Lema, good morning from Perth. Okay, audio sounds good. Great. Absolutely love that pic. Yes, great. Thank you. And Bruce says, great shot. I'm assuming that's maybe the cow shot, or maybe the lorikeet shot. Not quite sure which one you guys are referring to. Let's go back to my presentation. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. We'll minimize that. Okay, there we go. So that's my lorikeet shot, and then my dingo shot is what I wanted to show you guys next. Bruce says he has one too. Must be the cow, I'm thinking. All right, my dingo shot. I shot this also a couple of days ago. I went camping and I saw my dingoes at Mungo Brush, where I love to go. And this is the shot I got of a dingo. And I was photographing this with my 70 to 200 millimeter lens. This one over here. Because he comes so close to me that I actually don't need a long lens to photograph this dingo. And this is a male dingo, so it must be from that litter that Lucy had. I've named my dingoes. And I wanted to show you something that is pretty cool. So let's just go back to my desktop. We'll go back to, there we go, pull that up. And I want to show you this video that I took with my phone. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Getting very close. And I'm gonna make it full screen. Now this is a dingo that followed me onto the sand dunes while I was doing my morning meditation. I sat down and he snuck up behind me and he's quite playful. He's not dangerous, but he does get quite close. So listen to the sounds he makes over here. You're a cutie, huh? How good is that? So that's just with my phone. So the best camera you got is the one on you, right? And I only had my phone on me. So that's one of the dingoes. I haven't named him yet. Maybe one of you guys can give him a name. I think he's part of the pups that Lucy had. I think he's about a year or just over a year old. He's quite young. And he does like to vocalize his thoughts there. Oh, and I wanted to show you this one too. This is my son photographing with his phone the sunset. So I shot this over his shoulder and I decided to loan him my Lumix camera so that he could photograph and get to know the Lumix. He's also been filming with the Lumix because he does his surfboards. He actually paints and draws pictures on surfboards for his friends. He's charging them, and he's using the Lumix to create videos too. So I'll go back to my presentation here, and so there we go. That's my dingo shot. Oops, I'll get rid of this in front of me so I can see things. Okay, here we go. Minimize that. There we go. Great. All right, I'm just going to check the comments, guys. How's everything going? I'd love to hear. Okay. Rihanna says, I love the dingo shot. The dingo has such soulful eyes. Thank you, Rihanna. Yes, and I did when I edited this, I did a little trick on his eyes. I just opened up the shadows a little bit on his eyes, just so that they pop a little bit more. Are they pure dingo? Nick asks. I think as pure as they come in this area, Nick. Not sure if they've bred with the local dogs, but they do. There are no wild dogs other than the dingoes in this national park. So I haven't seen any. I know the national parks does poison wild dogs, but there's quite a few dingoes in the Mile Lakes National Park area. So these are as pure as they get. Actually, a couple 6 months ago, I went to Broughton Island, which is an island just off our coast here, not too far away. It takes about an hour on a boat to get there. And they found a dingo jaw that I went and filmed for national parks. An archaeologist who went to pull up this dingo jaw with the local Aboriginal, the Warramai elders, and they were going to do some DNA testing, but they were thinking it was about 12,000 years old, and they were going to test it for the DNA to see, because it would have been the most pure dingo before any Europeans got to this continent and brought their dogs, and they intermingled with the dingoes. So that was quite interesting. Just checking here. Judy says, good morning from Canberra. Hey, Judy. Glad you joined us. All right, let's go. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Oh, the create section. So this is where I get into my long exposure sunset shot that I took pretty much from where I'm sitting right here on a tripod. All right, so let's go into that. Let's go back to my desktop, or let's go back to the camera, and I'll explain how I photographed this. All right, so what I did there, and I do believe I shot that with my 50mm, which is on that camera right there, so I can't actually show you. But just imagine this was a 50mm, and what I did here was I had my camera on a tripod, and I put a 10-stop neutral density filter on the front of my lens. Okay, I don't have one here, and it's inside. I forgot to bring it. I don't want to leave this presentation. But basically, a 10-stop neutral density filter is a piece of glass that's been darkened, and it slows down the light coming in. It darkens the light coming in so that you can photograph at a much longer shutter speed than you would normally be able to. So because the sunset is so bright, like the slowest I can probably go, even after the sun has set, is probably 1/200th of a second shutter speed. And you can't get the cloud movement with 1/200th of a second. So I do believe I shot that at about 25 or 30 seconds. So a 10-stop neutral density filter really darkens the light coming in, so you can photograph at a much slower shutter speed. So let's get into Lightroom. Yeah, okay. What I'm going to do is share my desktop. There we go. Okay. And we're in Lightroom, and I'm going to find that image. So let's see. You'll notice with these images, this is a faster shutter speed image, and this is after I took the 10-stop neutral density filter off. I'm shooting at 1/200th of a second, and it is quite a wide open aperture. This is after the sun went down. All right, so let's go back to those couple, and then I'll get into the shot that I photographed. So the first image I shot in the sequence was I'm shooting with a 38mm lens here. So it wasn't the 50mm. So it was a 17 to 40mm lens. Yeah, that's right, because my 10-stop only fits the 72mm front element of those lenses. So that's what I used. Okay, so I'm shooting it pretty zoomed out, almost at 40mm. That's to stop the 10-stop neutral density filter from having any of the vignetting on the corners. So I photographed this one at 10 seconds, f8. So I just kind of choose a mid-range aperture, f8. ISO 250. I just kind of chose a couple of shots, shooting it all in manual, chose a few settings. So 10 seconds, f8, ISO 250. And then I look at the histogram to see if it's properly exposed. So the next one I shot at 15 seconds, f10. So you notice what I did there? So I went from 10 seconds f8. So I want to shoot at a slower shutter speed. So I increased the shutter speed to let in more light, but then I had to actually close down the aperture. So I went from f8 to f10 to keep the exposure the same. I've kept the ISO the same. So I'm sure you guys understand that. 10 seconds, if I go to 15 seconds, I'm letting in more light. At f8, I need to close the aperture, so I went to f10. All right, and then the next one is the same. I'm shooting with the tree on the side here at 15 seconds. Then I went to f8 again. I'm not sure why I did that. Okay, let's just see. Okay, here we go. So 25 seconds. I'm getting closer to my shot. I want lots of cloud movement. F13, so I close down the aperture even more at 25 seconds. And here's my shot. 25 seconds, f13, ISO 250 at 20 mils on my 17 to 40 millimeter lens. So do you guys have any questions about how I photographed this image? So Linton says, I haven't thought about the ND filter for sunsets. Thanks. And you know what? I haven't done a lot of long exposure sunsets, but this day the wind was howling. The clouds were moving reasonably fast, and we were catching the light in the clouds. And I was photographing with a much faster, a faster lens, a long lens, and I noticed that the clouds were moving, and my son Wesley said, "Oh, look how the clouds are moving." I thought, "Oh, perfect, long exposure sunset image. That's what I'm going to get." And it's a bit of a hit and miss sometimes with Australia because the sun sets so fast. So if you're shooting at 25 seconds, you probably only got 2 or 3 shots, and then the sunset's gone. So you've got to try and get your exposure right, and you can't see through the 10-stop ND filter, so you got to manually focus too. So I forgot to mention that. So what I would do is I'd manually focus to infinity because I'm shooting with a pretty wide angle lens, and I'm shooting at f13, which gives me a much broader depth of field than f8. And yeah, so that's what I did with the settings. So let's get into how I actually edited this image. So let's go to the develop module in Lightroom over here, and I'll show you what I did. As that pulls up, let's just go to the before image. Okay, so the before image looks a little dark. It doesn't look great, right? It's got it hasn't got much saturation. It just hasn't got much of a pop. So what did I actually do here? So first thing I did was I hit auto in the tone area, and then Lightroom automatically takes care of that. I also kept the white balance the same as shot. I did use the profile Adobe Landscape. So you'll notice Adobe Color is not as great. It's a little bit washed out. Adobe Portrait won't be that good either. Adobe Standard is, yeah, not too great. Adobe Vivid probably would do it, but Adobe Landscape seems to work for me. So that's the profile, the color profile that I'm using in Lightroom. I'm just going to check the comments really quick and see how everyone's going here. So Judy says there have been some beauties here in Canberra at the moment. Oh yeah, sunsets. Yeah, total beauties. Winter, we get the most amazing sunsets. And over here, it's over the water. So you'll notice down there, I'll zoom in and we'll let this load up. The sun's setting over the water. And you know what? In a month's time, the sun's going to be to the left and not over the water anymore, which isn't great. So it's taking a while to load up here. Okay, there we go. So yeah, Lightroom's struggling a little bit with the live thing happening. I'll just zoom back out again. Dave, Bluey, hey Bluey, how are you? He says, good morning, mate, from Milton, I believe. I'm glad you joined us, Bluey. All right, so what I did was I did the auto tone. Okay, didn't do too much to the highlights, shadows. So you'll see the highlights are pulled back a little bit. The shadows are pretty much close to zero. The whites are pushed up a little, and the blacks are pulled down just a little. Okay, and what it's done here is I think I did this. I added a little clarity to the image just to make those clouds look a little more, I don't know, pop a little bit more, because they are quite blurry there, which is what I wanted. And then the vibrancy is +15 and the saturation's +8. So you don't want to go too high on those things. You don't want to overcook your image, like my friend Johnny says. The detail, this is what I always do in the detail. So this is where you sharpen your image and you do the noise reduction and the color reduction. So you hold down Alt or Option and you click on the masking bit. And what that does is it masks in the sharpening. So the white bits in this image let through the sharpening, and the blacks mask it. They don't let through the sharpening. So I only want to sharpen areas that actually need sharpening, like the shoreline, little bits of the tree, and maybe the bottoms of some of those clouds. Okay, that's how you do the sharpening. And then I do a little bit of noise reduction, a little bit of color noise reduction. It shouldn't be too much noise in this image because of the low ISO that I used, ISO 250. But I did notice with my son Wesley's images shot on the Lumix, which is a micro 4/3 sensor, there's a lot of noise in that one, and we had to do quite a bit of noise reduction there. Okay, lens correction, did I do anything there? Yes, I just removed the chromatic aberration and the profile corrections, the vignetting. So because I've got the 10-stop ND filter in it, it puts in quite a lot of vignette on the edges, so darkening from all the edges. So what I've done here is I've actually pushed the vignetting up a little bit. So you'll notice I'll go all the way up. I can go up to 200. And what it's done is it's lightened the edges a little bit more. So we'll go back to around there, the 120 or so, 130 mark. And I haven't actually added any post-crop vignetting. Don't need to, because the 10-stop ND filter does that for me. And that's pretty much it. That's all I really did. Oops, don't know what's happening there. So just to recap, I shoot everything raw, which you should be doing for sunset images. I bring in the raw, import the raw image. I hit the auto toning in Lightroom. It does its thing. I make sure that I've got the right color profile, Adobe Landscape, and I might tweak a few little things here. So I think what I did was I tweaked the clarity, and that's pretty much all I did over there. You'll notice that the automatic software has actually upped my exposure by 1.25 stops, 1.25 stops. And that's pretty much it. And then the detail, all I did was the sharpening and that. Oh yes, a huge one is I recropped this image. So there's the original. There's a lot of black space when you're photographing with a 10-stop neutral density filter. And you know what, it's not really important, that black space there. So I just cropped it out, right? And I may have not had my horizon perfectly straight. So I've changed my horizon with the crop tool. And something else I did here was I used the graduated filter, and whoops, I'll click on that. And what I've done here, I'll hit the O key to show you where the graduated filter is taking effect. So that pink area at the top, that's where it actually works on. And what I've done here is I've just made the sky above the sunset a little bit more blue. And the reason for that is it makes the sunset pop even more, because it's a cool color against a warm color. That's all I've done there. Let's have a look at what happens if I turn that off. I'll give it a couple of seconds to come back. There we go. So you'll notice that the top is kind of gray. There's not much color. There's a little bit of warmth on that top cloud right in the middle, but it's a bit blah. So all I've done is I made that a little bit more blue, and then that makes the sunset pop even more. So there are a couple of little tricks I've used in Lightroom to get my image to pop, and that's pretty much all I did. The main thing is to photograph it as best you can in the camera, get the exposure right, and there's no way to get the clouds moving unless you've got a 10-step neutral density filter, or unless you wait until after sunset when it's really dark. Even though there still may be some color in those clouds, you can shoot it then. If you don't have a 10-step ND filter, do it then. All right, any questions? I'm going to quickly check and see what you guys have got here. We'll go back to, whoops, I'll go back to the grid mode. And yeah, that's pretty much all I think I wanted to show you guys when it comes to that image. Oh, you know what? While we're here, maybe what I'll do is I'll show you the Dingo shot, Mango brush, and what I did to the Dingo eyes with that last image. I think it was this one here. So you can see I shoot, when I'm out, I do shoot quite a few images. Also, what I did with this Dingo is I sat on the ground or laid down on my elbow on the ground to make sure that I could photograph looking low at the Dingo's eye level, looking low or even below its eye level. So you'll see a couple here where I'm actually below. Oh, that might have been this one. This is the one that I shot. So there I'm actually below the Dingo's eye level on my elbow, and it's checking me out. It's pretty hungry. Okay, what did I do here? Let's just go really quickly. I did the same thing as I did on the last one. I just did the auto in the toning in Lightroom, and then that's pretty much all I did there. I did crop it slightly. Let's see. Yeah, I just cropped off a little bit off the right hand side to make sure I could get the Dingo's face from the middle to the side, to the rule of thirds, kind of the right third of the image. And the last thing I did was I used this radial filter on his eyes, and I upped the shadows, upped the whites, reduced the blacks, and I increased the contrast. That's all I did on the eyes. So what I'll do here is we'll zoom in, okay, and then I'll pull up the radial filter again, and while Lightroom's loading, I'm checking the comments. Where did you start in Lightroom? Auto what? So Ellen asked that. Auto tone. So I import it into Lightroom and I do the auto toning. And Lightroom uses its artificial intelligence to look at my image and try and get it looking good. Okay, so let's just click on that one image there, the one radial filter. And what I'm going to do here is turn it on and off just to show you what I've done. So if you look at the left eye, the Dingo's right eye, our left-hand eye, you'll see I've turned that radial filter, the filter off, and now it's on. Let's see. There we go. It just makes it pop just that little bit, and that makes all the difference in photography. There we go. So the eyes just look more alive. It's as if I had a flash on my camera, which I didn't. Maybe I should have, and just pop in a little flash into its eyes. So like when you're photographing models or portraits or wild animals that are reasonably close, you can actually put a flash on the top of your camera and just pop in. It just makes the eyes look more alive. So that's what I did with this Dingo shot. All right, I think that's it for this section. Let's go back to my presentation and see what is next. So there's my long exposure sunset shot. We're going to get into BootCamp. Okay, so I'm now going to run through some of the standout images from this month's Seasonal Vibes BootCamp challenge. This is my image from Crescent Head from last year. Haven't managed to get up there this year. Hopefully we can still travel around soon. Well, we still can travel around, but I'm hoping we can still continue to travel around because we've got that damn coronavirus in our community now. Thank you, everyone who came to visit from Sydney in the last week of school holidays. You've brought up the virus. Thank you very much. And we may be in lockdown again soon. I don't know. The kids have been home from school the last 2 days because someone had it there. But I suppose it's part of life now. We just got to deal with it, right? So Rihanna says, I love photographing animals and thank you for going through the radial filter. I will try that next time. Okay, great. Thank you, Rihanna. Okay, great. So let's get into my, I'll go back to my desktop and we'll go into this one and seasonal vibes images. So we'll just run through them and then in alphabetic order. I've got a few that I randomly chose that are kind of standouts, and I'll pop them up here and we'll run through them. So this one from Amber, love this image, the bee on the flower, stunning. It's so sharp, and I guess that's your summer vibe image, your garden's in flower and you've got all these insects. So that's awesome. Great. Belinda, I really like this image of the lake, and you've originally submitted this as a color image, and I thought this would be great as a black and white too, and I think it does stand out as a black and white. What I like about it is the three different vertical lines here: the mast, the tower, and the mast, and the steam above this lake. So beautiful seasonal vibe image. There's another one, Belinda. So I put two in there. This one is amazing too. The night shot, the Milky Way of these dead trees in this lake. Awesome. Love it. Dave, I think I used two of your images too because they're just amazing. This bird, I don't think it's a hummingbird, but that's just an amazing shot to capture that in flight like that, because I know how difficult it is to photograph birds. They're fleeting, they come and go, and they're fast. And to shoot something like that is incredible. Well done. And there's another shot that you photographed. I think this was, if I remember right, sunrise at a golf course. And what I like about this is the reflection, and you've got this boat, the main point of interest, right in front of us here. It's a obvious single main point of interest. I notice so many people make the mistake of having too many points of interest in your image, and then your eye doesn't know where to settle in the image. So great shot. I wonder if I can just flick through them. No. Oh yeah, Kerry. Great. This one is amazing. It's winter. Kerry's from Queensland, where it's still reasonably warm, and the two lorikeets having a winter bath, and they're social distancing. So that's a good one, Kerry. Well done. Let's see. Who's next on the list here? Laura. A nice wintry image with your wine in front of the fire. Just beautiful. I love fires in winter. That's there's something about that, something primal that I love about that. And as typical, while I'm live, sounds like the garbage truck is about to arrive and make a hell of a noise. So I'll see if I can keep going here. Linton, great. Love the shot. Cold winter day, and he's photographed on the window, and the drops on the window, and on the steam, the dew on the window. And I like that we got some warm light in the background there. So sorry about the truck in the background. It's making a noise. I'll just keep talking and we'll just try and ignore it for a minute. You might need to turn your volume down over here. So there we go. Peter. Wow, Peter, love this shot of Santorini in the Greek islands. I've been there. The busiest place I've ever photographed a sunset from. I had to push through crowds, and I had all sorts of heads in my way from the sun, shooting the sunset. Didn't enjoy that. I love to photograph landscapes without people around. But that's a great one. I love the white buildings against the blue ocean. That really makes the blue ocean pop even more. And Richard, 4th of July image, love that. The patriotism, the flag on the White House, that shows you your summer vibes from San Francisco. Great image, Richard. I like how you framed it with this the palm tree over here, and on the bottom there too, and how you've kept the flag on the left, rule of thirds on the left, but also that reflection in the window makes for a great image. Great summer vibes image there, Richard. Ron couldn't take this image this year, so he took it from a couple of years ago. Ron's from England, and there's nothing more English than cricket in summer, right? So great shot, Ron. Thanks for sharing that with us. Cherie, look at this magic image of lightning. What a magic summer vibes. I guess you get summer storms down there in the Cayman Islands. Sig, like this, I think this is your son-in-law, if I remember right, in the lake with the kids. So great summer vibes image. Peter, love this one, Peter. Wow. Lighthouse, beautiful. And then finally, Rodney, rain, and also lovely image, lovely. I think this is is this winter or summer? I can't remember. So well done, guys, on these images. I know there's a heap of other images, and after this, I'm going to get in and comment on everyone's image and make sure I give everyone a personal comment on your image, how you can make it better, what I like about it. Thank you, everyone, for being part of BootCamp. If you want to join BootCamp, remember, click the link below this video and you can sign up to the waiting list, and I'll let you know when we've got space in there. And now I'm going to go to the questions. So I'll put the camera on here on me, and the truck's outside the front again. Hopefully it'll move pretty soon. And I'm going to go to questions here. So if anyone's got any, you can ask me anything at all. So I'd love to know, and I'm going to move the questions across here so that I can actually see them. There we go. All right. So Sue, thank you for going through all your Lightroom adjustments, really helpful. And she's from the UK. Hey, Sue. And now the dogs are going wild in the background too. So the joys of going live, right? Ellen, where did you start in Lightroom? Auto, what? Okay, I've already answered that one. That's the auto tone in Lightroom. Rihanna says, yeah, so she loves how I use the radial filter on the animal images to make the eyes pop. So that's a good one. And Nick is planning to head up early September. Not sure now. Nick was planning to head up, yeah. Hey, Nick, if you do pop into this area, make sure you stop in. We'll have a couple of beers together for sure. Anyone else got any questions? I know there's a bit of a delay. So when I talk, it takes about, and when you type in the question, it takes about 30 seconds before I see it. So ask me any questions. That would be great. And what else did I want to show you guys? Not too sure. So I'll wait just a couple of seconds and I'll probably end this broadcast off. So no questions, guys. There we go. I'm just checking some of the earlier questions to make sure I've answered everyone's questions. So yeah, so thanks, guys. Everyone has joined this live broadcast. I really appreciate you coming on. And I'll just have a quick look here. No, looks like that's it. So, there we go. Bruce, when's your next episode of Imagine posting? Yes. So hopefully this weekend I'm finishing off the interview with Frank from Imagine, and that will finish the whole Imagine postie series. And then we're planning on going to this super secret spot. We were meant to go this weekend. My friend Harlan, who's got a motorbike too. I think if you remember the very first episode of my postie adventures, I went on the sand dunes, and it's to do with the sand. I'm going to be going on sand and beach on my little postie bike. So I hope we can make it there. I might have to be towed out. I've also got my friend Kyle, who's going to be support in my vehicle, and he will be coming along carrying our gear and the tow rope in case we need to be towed out of the sand. But I want to go to this place, and I want to get this certain shot. It's to do with the Milky Way, and it's this very unique place that's close to me that some tourists get to, but I don't think there's many there now, and it's quite hard to get to. So that's my next adventure that I'm going to be putting together soon. I'm going to film it. So, hey, if you guys have got any suggestions on how my postie adventures should go, please let me know. Like, do you like the format I've been using, telling someone's story? Or should I just go and get a photograph, just go somewhere and with an image in mind and see what happens along the way and record that as the adventure and then show you the image and then the final editing that I do, that type of thing. Let me know. I'd love some feedback, especially everyone who's my postie legends. Maybe I'll send you guys an email and ask you guys for some feedback for how I do the next one. So that's good. Oh, and also the part of the teardrop camper that I'm putting together that I'm going to build. I'm going to do a postie adventure on the build, on how I'm going to build it, because I'm going to use my friend Timmy to help me do all the metal work. And my friend Macca, who's in the wheelchair, the guy with the lorikeets, he's really good at doing woodworking stuff. So I'll get him to help me, and then I just need to get the frame made. But part of that idea of getting the camper together so that I can actually get on the road and do my postie adventures, because I want to be able to put my motorbike on the front, in front of the camper on the drawbar, and go anywhere in Australia, because my postie bike is quite slow. I think I got it to about 83 kilometers an hour once on a downhill with a tailwind. But it's loaded up. It doesn't go super fast, so I don't really think it's safe to go on the freeways. I've got to take all the back roads if I go anywhere. It's only it's a 90 or 110 cc. I have upgraded it, so it's a 125 now, and it went from 5 horsepower to 9 horsepower. So I'm almost double digits horsepower on my little postie bike, but it's only got a very small fuel tank. I think I can take 4.5 liters or 4 liters in the fuel tank. When I fill it up, it's less than $5 to fill it up. It's crazy. And yeah, so that's all fun. So that's what's happening with the postie adventure stuff. So I'll have the final episode out this weekend if I have enough time, and it's going to rain. So East Coast low rain. That means a good time to edit the last one and get it out to you guys. I don't think those of you who have never done any video editing, the last one was 14 minutes, the last postie adventure, and it took me about 10 hours to edit. So normally for every minute of video is an hour of editing. So if this next one's 10 minutes, it'll be another 10 hours of editing. So there's quite a lot involved in the postie adventure, getting videos out there. Anyway, I'm going to end this broadcast off. It's almost, it's 50 minutes. This is one of the quickest ones I've done. Thank you guys for everyone who's come along. And you can always watch these episodes. You can go back to my channel and watch all of them. This is the 4th live one I think I've done. The 4th one. One a month, so I'm trying to do the one a month. So Bruce says thanks. Dave, Bluey says he's going to Bunnings, which is like our Home Depot here in Australia. Nick says see ya. Sue, thanks Brent, and Rihanna, thank you Brent, and Linton, thanks. Hey, thanks guys, really appreciate you coming on this live broadcast. And a huge thank you for everyone who's inside BootCamp. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Catch you later. Bye. All right. How do I end this baby off? Here we go. Finish. End.